Somebody asked me, why do you smoke cigars? One of my answers is that because a $5 cigar is a lot more economical than a $100 an hour therapist. Smoking a cigar is more than just smoking a cigar. It's also mind therapy to cope in this crazy upside down world that we live in. Some people drink coffee, some people drink alcohol, some people take drugs. For Superdan, it's a cigare. Welcome to Superdan, Dealing in the Desert. Cigar review. It's about time. Hello and welcome to another fabulous cigar review by Superdan, Dealing in the Desert. This time we look at the Rojas Bluebonnet's Corona Gorda cigar. The wrapper is made of Ecuador, Corojo, binder Nicaragua, filler Nicaragua. It is a 6x46 and it is made in Esteli, Nicaragua by Noel Rojas. This cigar got very high reviews. Cigar Authority gave it a 93. And we are gonna light her up. Let's go. Hello, boys and girls, women and children of all ages. Yes, do not adjust your screens. It is Superdan Dealing in the Desert. How are y'all on this April 22nd, 2022? 2222 all over the place. Nice to see y'all. I know it's been a while. I think it's been 11 months since Superdan did an official cigar, technically official cigar review. It's been a long time. We're trying to get this thing back jump-started, kick-started, whatever you call it. Of course, if you looked at the videos, you know that Superdan recently did a quote-unquote audition for cigar reviewer at Cigar Public. I haven't heard anything back. Who knows? I haven't heard anything good or bad, so we'll just leave it at that. I know that I got an email from them asking me what the tasting notes were, when I thought that the point of it was filling out those cards that I showed you. The cards didn't say anything about the tasting notes, but I went ahead and told them, how I felt. Now if you watched it, you know that Superdan really didn't taste a whole hell of a lot in those cigars. I haven't heard anything back, so probably not a good sign, but who knows, right? It's a very subjective process anyways, and we all agree that cigar reviewing is more or less a subjective process. And I learned even quite recently that even the construction can be a subjective process. Maybe one of the hundreds or thousands of cigars that were rolled was rolled a little too tight. Got a snug draw, right? Can't get anything out of it. Little things, nuances. But that's what makes cigar smoking so interesting, so great, and all that good stuff. Anyways, I digress. Nicaragua, wrapper, binder, the filler, Nicaragua, the wrapper from Ecuadorian Rojas, is that right? The wrapper is Ecuador Corojo. Ecuador Corojo. It's almost tart. Tart. What do I mean by tart? Remember those tart candies? And you eat the candy, and if you lick the wrapper, you get like a little sweet tartness out of it. That's what I'm kind of tasting here. It's very unusual, very interesting. The cigar received very high ratings, so I'm expecting it to be a very good cigar. But I shouldn't expect anything, right? But that's what I'm expecting from the reviews. We'll see. We're gonna light it up, get in the first third, see how it develops. I do want to put out a few things, but I'll put it out as we're going along. So let's get into the first light, and with my new jet lighter, Cohiba's jet lighter, which is better than the last one, and we'll go from there. And there is Lily. Of course, she has to be in all the videos. Likes to photobomb. All right. Well, I can tell you that it's a tight draw. Not overly tight that you would be struggling too much, but it is on the tighter side. It's kind of tasting to me a little bit like black licorice and leather. Like if you take black licorice and you rub it on leather, that's kind of like what I'm getting here. The word pungent comes to mind. Pungent. Cigar output is medium. Low to medium. It has a aftertaste. A little unpleasant. Kind of bitter. If I would say, kind of a nut bitterness. Interesting start. Not saying it's good or bad. No spices to think of. No black pepper, white pepper. I'm not getting any pepper. And really any spice. So that's what I'm getting so far in this Bluebonnet. Kind of a nice color to it. No dryness or peeling that I can see. I believe it was double capped. Doesn't really matter, but I think it was double capped. Yeah, so interesting start. Now, very quickly, if you're not familiar, Superdan does a 1 to 5 star rating, very similar to Limac. I judge on taste, construction, cost, and an overall score. When we get back, there's a lot of things to talk about. The world has definitely changed in the last year. A lot of the predictions that Superdan has made in the past has gone true times 10. If you remember back in those reviews I was doing at the beginning of the shutdowns, you know what I'm talking about. But things are just continue to get very interesting as the bigger gets bigger, the smaller gets smaller, and as we head very quickly towards a kind of a fascism type system, which it already is, it's just getting more so. Did you know that the writ of habeas corpus was suspended back after 9/11, the attack on the World Trade Center? Do you know what habeas corpus even means? It's a right to a fair and speedy trial. You don't hear much about it, do you? All the government has to do is declare that you are an enemy combatant, a domestic terrorist, and they can lock you up forever. Pretty scary stuff, huh? We'll be back. Alright, so I'm back in this quick burning Bluebonnet Rojas Corona Gorda Habano cigar. Quick burning. I mean, I feel like I just lit this up and look at it. It's already almost down to the first third already. It's unbelievable. Construction is flawless. Look at that burn line, just beautiful. Look at that ash, nice, tight, holding ash. Pretty good stuff with construction. Wow. The draw has opened up. It is now no longer, I would say, on the tighter side. I'd say it's a regular draw now, which is nice. I've been picking up a little bit of that bubblegum taste that they were talking about on Cigar Authority, like in the after, a little bit of the nuances, but not, it's just in the back there. You know, it could be my brain, but I am picking a little bit of that up. But let me take a big retro hail real quick. Yeah, getting that similar notes of black licorice painted on a piece of leather. Is the best way I could describe it. So, lots happened in the last 11 months, right? I just heard today on the radio that about 25% of the people that get their news are now getting it from podcasts, and that number is increasing. People are looking for more independent news. A lot of people are waking up to the fact that you're probably not getting the most truthful, unbiased news from the mainstream news programs, you know, and mainstream, I'm talking about the ones that get all their funding from pharmaceutical companies and major Fortune 500s. You know, I'm talking about ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, even Fox. You know, just go down the list, right? And people are looking for alternatives. People want to be told the truth. And I find that very interesting. I think there's a turnaround happening. Because my next prediction is that the pendulum is starting to swing a little bit this way now. People are getting tired of the craziness, the censorship, the platforming, the wokeness. You know, most of us are somewhere in the middle. Like Superdan considers himself to be somewhat in the middle. Here's the spectrum, here's left, here's right. Superdan's kind of here, you know. But it doesn't matter if you're here. The people on the left right now are so left that you could be a little bit right here and you're just the enemy, right? And the same thing on the extreme right too, by the way. So when you get to the extremes, very low tolerance. And that's part of the problem, is that people aren't talking to each other anymore. They just want to believe what they believe, state what they state, and to hell with everybody else. Not a great way to search for truth. In Superdan's opinion, I think it takes a lot of conflicting opinions, takes a lot of argument, takes a lot of, you know, that's and that to get to a truth of a matter. And that's part of the danger of all this stuff. You know, wokeism, that's been gaining steam since the shutdowns. It's not a new concept, but it's been gaining steam that Superdan's talked about. In its general phases is a wonderful thing, you know, people respecting each other, you know, having a certain amount of tolerance towards one another and loving each other. That's all good stuff. But just because somebody may want borders around the country doesn't make them xenophobic. Just because somebody thinks that different races, there's some differences between them, does not make them a racist. Just because somebody is a Christian does not make them anti-Jew. Just because somebody's Jewish doesn't make them anti-Muslim. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And the problem is that people have these agendas, and if different agendas come about, not only do they not listen to them, they want to squash them, censor them, deplatform them, etc. and so forth. That is fascism. One thought, one opinion. Everybody else is stomped. It's not good. That's not good for a democracy. We can't have a thriving democracy if you don't have freedom of speech. I don't know what the solution is, because the government is pretty much paid for by the corporations. I mean, they're one and the same. That's what fascism is, a corporate state. I don't see any legal means out of this. You know, Thomas Jefferson said that the tree of liberty must be soaked with the blood of patriots from time to time. Am I advocating violence? I am not advocating violence, but I'm saying, in my humble opinion, without something major, I don't see things changing anytime soon. I see things getting worse. That's Superdan's opinion. All right, so we're through the first third. We're getting into the second third of the Bluebonnet cigar now, and let me take another retrohale. Haven't gotten a lot of flavor changes yet. Still the same. The draw has opened up, which is nice. We're in a time now where when you say all lives matter, that's controversial now, which is ridiculous. You know, all lives do matter. You know, I mean, who cares what skin tone you are? Your life matters. Whoever's watching this, your life does matter. Now, I get the argument that blacks have not had a fair shake in this country. I don't think anybody could have any doubt in that regards, being brought here not on their own accord to do this slave labor economy that we had back in the day. There's no argument there, and there's no argument that, you know, a lot of the ghettos in the cities in the United States are of a colored persuasion. But you know what? There's a lot of poor Latinos, there's poor Asians, there's poor whites. I mean, God, you know, you drive down some of the small towns that have now been sold, you know, that have been sold out for some time by the factories. I mean, you see poor whites on welfare, on the streets, taking the drugs. You know, it's environment plays such a huge part of people's, of how a person perceives things and is raised. That to say, you know, that color or race gives them a predisposition towards one action or another is kind of preposterous. I'm not saying that there isn't a possible percentage, but the percentage is so dang low, it's almost not even worth talking about. These things that I'm saying are still really not that controversial, but today, this may be my last YouTube video, just because I'm talking about this stuff, right? You know, to say, to even identify, a politician identifying that there is a white working class during the 2016 election was, you know, something that wasn't uttered in the past. Yeah, I'll be right back. So people ask me, you know, Superdan, what's the, how would you propose everybody getting along? And I'd say one of the best examples is sports. You watch baseball, hockey, football. You got people of all different types of religious backgrounds, race backgrounds, religion backgrounds, and ethnicity backgrounds, and they get along great. Why? Because they're all a team. You know, they all are striving to win. Is the United States a team right now? Are we winning right now? It's sort of like we're rowing a ship and we're hitting each other on the oars, or we're watching China, we're watching, in the most part, Germany. Germany's having similar problems too. But like China and Korea and stuff, Russia, you know, they're all rowing together. We're hitting each other on the heads. Old British maxim, divide and conquer. It's something that they've used in the past to keep people divided. There's nothing rulers like better than for their people to be fighting and arguing. Why? Because then they're not together planning revolution. I don't agree a lot with Karl Marx, but he did say something that I did agree with, which is that governments are created to prevent the poor from eating the rich. And I think he had a point there. I think he had a point there, you know. Who knows? Maybe it's just the way it is, right? Maybe you're always going to have the few at the top and the many at the bottom. It just seems Superdan, there must be a better way. Superdan just made his favorite pairing with cigars, which is coffee. And Superdan's favorite coffee is a vanilla nut blend. I buy the beans and mash them up myself. Sometimes I add a little breakfast blend with it. This time I did add a little breakfast blend with it to give it a little more coffee taste and vanilla nut. Either way, pretty dang good. So we are smoking this Rojas Bluebonnet, believe it or not, even though Superdan's been rambling a little bit. It's been consistent in flavor and taste. I am getting a little more tingling in the nose now. That is halfway down. A little bit of pepper in the nose. I would say black pepper. In terms of Cigar Public, I joked that Cigar Public needs Superdan more than Superdan needs Cigar Public. In a way, that's kind of true. I've been doing cigar reviews for a few years now. I don't really need Cigar Public to be doing cigar reviews, because I'm going to do them anyways, whether they pick me up or not. My point, and it's a point that was made on Privada Cigar Club's last video or two. One of them is the problem with cigars, which is really the issue with cigars. And he was talking about, he meaning Brian Privada, was talking about how cigars are not consistent. Premium hand-rolled cigars are not consistent, and that's what makes them so damn special. They're always nuanced. You could order cigar, I mean, they stay relatively, consistent, but you do get nuances, you get idiosyncrasies and things like that of the same cigar. So the point of the whole matter is we got to take it easy on the cigar reviewers, and we got to take it easy because it's a subjective art. And that was Superdan's point all along. It's a subjective art. And, you know, what I say still stands. Go with the reviewer that you like, and go with the reviewer who has similar tasting notes as you do. That's it. That's it. I'll be back. I've been listening to a very interesting podcast as of lately called Real Dictators. I've been listening to it off of Podbeam. Very good research stuff. Very detailed. You can tell that they've done their homework. It's a very interesting take on dictators that are living now through the past. And one thing that I found that was similar to, I've listened to a couple of them now. Idi Amin, Joseph Stalin, Adolf Hitler. Those are the three I've listened to so far. They all had a very similar thing. Guess what that was? Purging. They all had a moment where they eliminated the competition, so to speak. That's one way to put it. Murder the competition is probably more apt. The Great Purge was probably the worst, from Joseph Stalin, where they say upwards of maybe 1 million people were killed. It's unbelievable. The amount of people that Joseph Stalin is credited with murder, and I don't mean murder like he came up and shot him in the head. I mean responsible for, is in the millions. Millions and millions and millions. Case in point, Stalin decided that it wasn't a good thing for landowners to own too much land. So he did this collectivist farming thing that was a total fiasco. Starved a huge population, and they estimate that about 10 million people were killed because of this man-made, failed collectivist farming idea. And Joseph Stalin just could not admit failure. And I mean, just think about that. 6 million people, died in the Holocaust. Right? Now we're talking 10 million. We're talking almost double. You don't hear too much about it. But it was terrible. That was under a communist system. Under a Nazi system, 6 million people died. Really, it was, I think when you talk to historians about it, I think really the numbers is about 4 million Jews, and then 2 million political prisoners, gypsies, and so on and so forth. Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's a lot of people, a lot of evil. And I learned something, that there is a lot of evil in the world. There's just no doubt about it. There's good and there's evil. And they're both. And they're here. And they're not going away anytime soon. So I think maybe it's possible that God is dualistic. Maybe that symbol, right? The Tau symbol, the circle with the line in the middle that's squirrely, and then you got white and black and then a dot in each, showing masculine and feminine forces, day and night, etc. Maybe there's something truth to that we have an angel and a devil. I don't know, man. Alright, so we're taking off the band now, the Rojas band. Here you go. We're getting kind of towards the middle, to the middle of this cigar. It's an enjoyable cigar right now. As you can see, you're here hanging out with Superdan in the Superdan lounge in the backyard de Superdan. We got the pool, we got the fence to keep the crazy dogs out of the pool, but they'll get in it probably at some point today, because I think we're going to use the pool today. Welcome aboard, welcome aboard. As you can see, Superdan's cigar reviews are kind of long-winded. They're long, talk about a lot of stuff. That's the way Superdan likes to do it. I like to have the lounge feel. Some people aren't going to like it, all right? And some people are going to love it. If you're one of those that love it, stay tuned, because this is how Superdan does it. I got a whole bunch of them in the archives. But if you like a cigar review that's, to the point, no BS, no lounge feel, just kind of tell me about the cigar and be done with it in 6 to 8 minutes, Cigar Obsession I will highly recommend, as somebody who cuts the BS and just tells you exactly the cigar. But if you're looking for somebody who talks about things, who realizes that there's a life out there, there's a world out there, and cigars are great, but also good conversation is great. Nothing like a cigar lounge where you can feel free to express yourself, to discuss opinions, even if they're controversial, and not be canceled because of it. Watch Superdan, watch Lee Mac 912. There's probably a few others out there who like to just talk when they're smoking a cigar, because this is Superdan's opportunity to talk to you while he's enjoying a nice stogie. Because, as I said in the beginning of the video, it's more than just about smoking a cigar. It's about camaraderie. It's about chilling out. It's about mental health of well-being. It's about lowering stress levels, which is far better health-wise than anything else. And that's something that the anti-smokers just really can't defend against. You know, is that there's something to be said for lowering your stress levels. For sure, for sure. All right, so I'm going to smoke a little further down. I'll give you my last impressions of the cigar. I'll give you my rating, and then we'll call it a cigar review day. Hey, I'm back. Did you miss me? Probably not, because of the magic of YouTube. We are smoking this Rojas Bluebonnet Corona Gorda Habano. I can see why it got a high rating. It's a very much a quality cigar. It's not necessarily up Superdan's alley in terms of taste. Not a big Corojo, Habano type of guy. Habano's not my favorite. Actually, Connecticut Shade and Sumatra is becoming Superdan's current fave. But it's still pretty good. It's not bad at all. And I think a good cigar reviewer will realize that just because a certain cigar is not up their alley doesn't mean it's not a good cigar. It could very well be a good cigar, and it could be good for somebody. And I recognize that fact. I just was informed that I need to go get the family some food. So I got to cut this a little short. So we'll make this long story short. Some of you are like, thank God. Just end this thing, Superdan. All I can tell you guys is, look, there's an old cowboy wisdom. There's always two sides to a pancake. There's always two sides to a story. Always remember that, okay? This Ukrainian thing, there's two sides to that story. And you do well to look at both sides. It's not going to be easy to do because the mainstream is totally dominated by the military-industrial complex of the United States that wants to go to war. They always want to go to war because war is good business. But don't buy everything that they're telling you. You know, look around. Look at the RT news. Look at all alternative news coming. You know, I'm not a big fan of China. You know that. You know that from my past videos. But I would say they have the most realistic, level-headed attitude towards this whole Ukrainian thing, which is stop going crazy about it. These two countries have had a long history. Let them work it out, you know. Let them work it out. You know, the U.S., one thing George Washington wanted to avoid was the U.S. getting involved in foreign entanglements. And what do? We always got to get involved in foreign entanglements. Plus, Russia is a nuclear-powered country. It's got nukes, all right? So it's not like we're pointing our finger at Argentina or something, okay? Or some little dictator country, all right? We should be more diplomatic, is all Superdan's saying. All right, enough of that. To the cigar, construction. Construction has been fantastic. 4.9 out of 5 stars. Great construction. Unbelievable. Burning all the way through. No dryness, no wrapper. Unpeeling. The draw opened up greatly. 4.9. Taste. Like I said, the taste is not really in Superdan's wheelhouse. It has some flavors. It has some taste for sure. I've gotten that black licorice rubbed on leather taste. I give the taste 3.5, and the price is $12.99, which I think is appropriate. I'll also give that 3.5 stars for a total overall score of 3.7 stars out of 5 on the Superdan scale. Thank you very much. I'm going to conclude this. Have a great day. Whether you think you can or can't, you're right. I'll be looking forward to seeing you all on the next cigar review video. Superdan doesn't have any notes. He speaks off the cuff. And if I said anything that offends thee, well, I'm offended that you're offended. Don't be offended. Just, you know, take it with a... Let it roll through you. It's not a big deal. And it's okay. Disagreeing with somebody is okay. It's part of democracy. It's part of freedom of speech. I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.